creeping into another winter season. And I just thought I'd get on today and talk about something that I thought was really important. We take little steps as we get there. You know, sometimes it takes, you know, it seems like we're taking 1 or 2 steps forward and we take 9 steps backwards and we're like, oh God, why is this happening? You know, but let's look at it and think about how happy we can be when we finally reach that pinnacle thing that we call success. And it's not just a stopping point. Success is not, hey, okay, great, we're here and that's all we're doing. And that's what we're going to talk about today, simply is why are some companies successful and some aren't? That's what we got to look at. What makes some companies successful and some companies are out there beating their brains out, working all the time, trying to do what's right for them, their customers, their employees, and they just can't seem to get there. That's what I want you to think about today. Put your thinking cap on. You know, if you're driving, keep your eyes on the road, but put your thinking cap on and ask yourself, why are some companies successful and maybe I'm not? Or I'm not where I want to be? I think that's what we ask ourselves. So let's look at some of those companies that in your own mind you perceive as successful companies. Because what I've found in talking with people as a consultant or a business coach, and just as Wayne's Lawn Service, talking to other lawn guys, is sometimes those companies that we look at and we want to emulate and we want to do what they do, they're not all that when we drill down to it. Spit it out, right? When we drill down to it. But for those people that we do respect, what are they doing? What are they doing to be different and better? And I think one of the first things we got to look at is if we want to be successful, and success at this point is not necessarily just talking about profitability success, because that's ultimately why we're all in business, is to make a profit. But how do we get there? How do we get to those profit dollars? I think number one, we got to think about our professional image. You know, do you have a professional image? And, you know, when we talk about this, a lot of times guys say, well, yeah, man, we wear uniforms. We keep our trucks clean. We keep our equipment clean. You know, okay, that's just part of it. That's just the beginning of professionalism. What are some other things that you can do to be more professional? That's what I want you to think about. You know, other than your truck's clean, and in a lot of cases, trucks and equipment are not clean. How many of your competitors don't you see rolling down the street that don't have clean equipment? Oh, man, we're just too busy. We'll worry about washing our equipment, washing our trucks. You know, you don't have to have brand new 2020 trucks and equipment to have it looking nice. You know, I know last Friday, one of the things we did around Wayne's Lawn Service was power washed all of our equipment. We're concerned about our image. Are you concerned about your image, or are you just happy to be out there hammering it out every day? You know, professionalism's a way of life. It's not a sometime thing. And I think that's where a lot of us are mistaken. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'll throw myself under the bus first. You know, one of the last things that I used to think about when I first started my business was keeping my truck clean, or keeping my lawnmowers clean, or not worrying about what I looked like. I wasn't in uniform. I had, pants on or shorts on, holes in them. My sleeves were ripped out of my shirts. Well, I'm just mowing grass. Are you just mowing grass? That certainly is one way to look at it. But there's better ways we can look at it. We can look at it that everything we do affects our professional image in every way. It's how you eat lunch. If you're stopping, even if you're stopping in a parking lot, but do you have your radio blaring, or what's the scenario? We can create a million things that are unprofessional, and you see a lot of it. If you are walking into a restaurant, are you and your employees being professional? A lot of times they're not. How many times haven't you been in there and seen a couple lawn crews in there and they're too loud, or they're goofing off, or they're throwing packets of ketchup, all the things that they think's funny. But at the end of the day, everybody that sees that happening, we got to think about what are they thinking. So professionalism is not a sometime thing. We got to treat our competitors with respect. And I don't want you to run off the road laughing at that. But how many times isn't it easy to disrespect our competitor? Or you see a guy driving down the street, or a lady driving down the street that's a competitor, and they flick you off, or you flick them off. What are you really saying by that? Wow, well, Wayne, you just don't understand, man. He's the worst person in our market, and my God, he's always underbidding everybody, and blah, 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 this. We got all the reasons why that's justified, but at the end of the day, we shouldn't do it. You might think it. I've got a lot of my competitors, that I wouldn't put water on if they were on fire. But the reality of it is, I would never let a potential customer know that I think that about them. So I'm not saying you got to like everybody. I'm not saying you got to go out and have wings and beer with everybody, or iced tea or whatever. But I think what we need to do as an industry is respectfully treat our competitor as a professional. And you are the only one that controls that. I think another thing we can do as our sign of professionalism, is the training and education for yourself and your employees, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But what can you do to better train and educate yourself so we can better train and educate our potential clients? What it really boils down to is you and your employees drive your company image. Are you willing to commit 100% to that image as a professional image? Because if you do that, if you have a professional image, because always remember, more people see you driving down the road or sitting in a restaurant or at the gas station getting fuel, more people see you in that scenario than you'll ever service, even if you're True Green size, or Brightview size. You can be the largest in the country, or largest in the world. It doesn't matter. More people will see you in a non-working environment than they will see you in a working environment. We look at companies, they got to be professional. They got to focus in on training and education for everybody. Not just you, but your employees. Very important. And why is that important? I think it's important that everybody has to be trained and educated because of our customers nowadays. With access to the internet, our customers, when I say our customers, yours and mine, all of ours in this industry, they can quickly look something up and read on it and be what I call dangerously smart, In other words, they know just enough to be dangerous about something they don't know anything about when we're trying to talk to them about plant selection or herbicides or fertilizers or, pavers, whatever it is we're talking to them about. They get a 5-minute tutorial on YouTube and they think they're an expert. So you got to be able to talk sensibly to your customers. And do you have a marketing plan in place? This is something else. When you look at successful companies, what type of marketing plan do you have in place? And that doesn't mean, based on your company size, you don't have to be spending thousands of dollars a year, maybe. Maybe a one-truck operation, you're content to spend just a couple $1,000s a year on some marketing or branding or advertising for your company. But know that too many bad ideas are out there. There's way too many bad ideas when it comes to a marketing plan. One of the things that I think's crazy, that I see it, and I bet you see it in your market too. I bet you do. And if anybody sees this other than me, shoot me a text, 502-550-8307. I want to know that it's not just happening here in Louisville, Kentucky. And actually, I'm pretty confident that it is happening in most markets across the country, because when I go do seminars, guys say, oh, yeah, man, it happens all the time. But I'd like somebody just to respond, But how many times don't we see something like 20% off for you and your neighbor, or 10% or 15%, or some type of discount that we want to give somebody because they're neighbors? That's, I'm not saying that's the wrong methodology. I'm just saying you might want to reconsider that methodology. Why do we want to give a discount because we've got multiple clients on one stop? I don't understand it. I used to do it, but then one day I had an epiphany on it, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I know initially you say, well, Wayne, to get to work. And hey, I don't have to drive. I don't have the drive time. I don't have to move. I can give them a little bit of a break. We got what I have found with our industry is we have a million reasons on why we can give away our profit dollars. We've always got a great excuse on why we can give away our profit dollars. But you don't have to do it. Why do you get 2 people in line, or 3 or 4 or 5 on the same street? That's the challenge that I ask you. Why does that happen? It happens, I think why it happens is because we do a good job, or you do a good job. How many times haven't you been mowing a property or taking care of a property, fertilization, weed control, treating it, whatever, and a neighbor walks over and says, that yard looks really good. Can you make my yard look like that? My current person can't. They don't show up. They're not here regularly. I got weeds in my yard. Whatever the situation may be based on the service that you're providing for that client that they like, that they're not receiving. Does that happen to you? Absolutely it happens to you. That's not the time to give a discount, even though they might ask, because they're all going to ask, because they're programmed to ask, because as an industry, that's what our marketing says. Hey, you and your neighbor can both get a discount if you let me take care of both of you, or 3 of you, or 4 of you, or 5 of you. Just try not doing that and see what happens. Remember, they approached you. So when it comes down to it, keep your marketing very professional. Another thing that kills me is when I see they say we'll beat any competitor's price, or we'll match anybody's price. I call that Walmart mentality. You do not have to do that to yourself. Our industry is so far off as a whole on knowing their numbers, on why they charge what they charge, that don't position yourself to be the next dead business by doing that. And I say that with all due respect to everybody that's listening, especially you, because I want your company to be successful. I want your company to be the one that says, why are some companies more successful? Why is Larry's Lawn Care more successful? It's because Larry's decided to do it a little bit different than everybody else is doing it. So be conscious of what you're doing with your marketing plan. Put something positive out there. Sell the benefits of your service, not the features of your service. We're not getting into selling today, but that's something very important. Too many times we want to either price match or sell features, when realistically, put your price out there. The customer approaches you because you're doing a good job. There's no need to get a discount because they're neighbors. I kind of jokingly say this, but I think everybody can appreciate this comparison that I make to it. Let's just say you're a one truck operation. We'll keep it very small. And you pull into your 7-Eleven or Speedway or wherever it is you get fuel, and you fill up your truck and you get 30 gallons of fuel in your truck, and you fill up 3 lawnmowers and your gas tanks for your mowers. All of a sudden, you've got 50 to 60 gallons of fuel you just purchased. When you walk in, how many times do you say, what's my discount on the fuel because I got 50 gallons? They're going to laugh you right out of the place. But you're going to pay the same amount for 50 gallons as somebody that's pulling up with $4 and is going to get 2 gallons. Just keep that in mind. You do not have to give your services away. They approached you because you do a good job, because you show up. You put those extra profit dollars in your pocket. Keep that marketing positive. Be aggressive in your selling. Don't apologize for your cost. It's just that simple. And are you utilizing professional proposals once the phone does ring and somebody says, hey, I'd like to get an estimate? What does your proposal process look like? Is it on the back of a business card that's dirty from laying in the dash of your truck when, Miss Smith from next door walks up, or ABC company walks over while you're one of your commercial facilities, and they say, hey, man, will you charge to mow this and trim this on a weekly basis for us? Oh, hang on, man. When I get done, I'll take a look at it and I'll come talk to you. Okay, and you get done with the job, you walk around, you look at it, and you write it on the back of a business card. Whatever the price is, it doesn't matter. $50, $5,000, it doesn't matter. But it's the presentation. Is that how you're presenting it? Is that how you think the successful companies are doing it? I can tell you the answer to that's no. The absolute answer is no. You've got to set yourself up for success in every aspect of what you're doing. So we look a little deeper into that whole process, and you say, well, man, I just have a whole, that's not my forte, Wayne. I got a business card. I got some Office Depot estimates that, were dual part estimates. I got a packet of that from Office Depot. Hey, if at least that's on the right road, you're getting there. At least you've got a professional proposal, even though it just may be a template that you're working from that has nothing to do with your business, your industry, just an estimate form. But it sure in the heck beats a half a sheet of paper that's ripped off, or a business card that's dirty that's been laying up in the dash that you give to somebody and say, hey, if we can help you, call me, let me know. Because I think that's sending the wrong message out there. Going back to the very first thing we talked about professional image is a must. And I think we need to offer full service. We got to be more diversified. When you look at companies that are successful, you just got to be more diversified. I don't talk a whole lot about industry standards and things like that. You guys know my feelings on that. They're great to look at, and here's something that they're great to look at for. If you look at any of the industry standards that I've ever been able to find access to over many, many years, and it stays very consistent, as companies grow, Okay, as you grow your company from 20 accounts to 40 accounts to 300 accounts to whatever size you're growing to, okay? But as a company grows, statistically, the percent of income that's generated from mowing as the company gets bigger, the mowing income number gets less. And it's because we get a little smarter. We know that, hey, mowing is the most expensive thing we have to offer our customers. It's not the most profitable by a far stretch, but it's the most expensive thing. Think about what it takes to mow a lawn just as a one-truck operation. You and a helper. The truck, the trailer, couple string trimmers, couple blowers, at least 2 lawnmowers, and fill in the blank on the miscellaneous equipment that you've got. So the overhead to mowing is incredible when we compare it to other services. And I'm not saying you got to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, because that's not any good either. But certainly you need to look at, are you doing the mulching? Are you doing the hedge trimming? Are you doing the leaf removal? Are you doing the annuals? Are you doing the basic services for your client? Because guess what? They want to work with one person too. And the most successful companies are more diversified. I just want to bring up a few more things as to why companies are more successful. Why are some companies more successful? We've looked at the image, the marketing, professional proposals, being a little more diversified. But let's look at the pricing side of it. Do you know why you charge what you charge? And we're not going to talk a whole lot about that because I just need to move along. But when you look at successful companies, when I say successful companies, companies that have been around for a good number of years. And just because you've been around a good number of years, let me preface this by saying that does not mean you understand your numbers. Because I've worked with a lot of companies across this country that had been in business a lot of years and doing a lot of cash flow but aren't making a profit. But when you look at your truly successful companies, they are profitable and they understand their numbers. Do you have a price sheet that you go by? Do you know why your minimum is, and I'm just going to make a number up, do you know why that minimum is $45 a lawn or $25 a lawn or $1,000 a lawn? Or are you just doing that because that's what you think the market will bear? Develop and implement a price sheet for all your services. It looks a heck of a lot more professional, especially when you're, walking around somebody's lawn with them, or even on a commercial facility. Normally we don't get the pricing on that interview there, that first interview on a commercial facility, but certainly a lot of times on residential lawns, when you're walking around looking at either mulching, aeration, fertilization, weed control, mowing, hedge trimming, whatever it may be, have a price sheet that you can look at and let your customer see that price sheet. It puts validity in that number that you're getting ready to throw out there, because I think too many people in our industry simply use what I call the dartboard method. I had a really good friend. He's dead now. His name was Tom Simpson. Had a company here in Louisville called B&S Landscaping, and I never will forget what I used to talk about numbers all the time with Tom, and Tom used to say, man, I used a dartboard method. He said, I throw a dart every day. He said, based on how bad we need to work, that's how I adjust my pricing. And I think, as funny as that sounds, and I know some of you guys out there are laughing right now at that, ask yourself, when's the last time you used the dartboard method? Because I bet you've used it more frequently than you believe. You just didn't call it that. Know why you charge what you charge. That's certainly something that we can help you with at Profits Unlimited. Very, very fast, very inexpensive, and you'll never undersell your services again. Once you know why you charge what you charge, hey, it makes it a whole lot easier to sell. And remember, once that professional proposal is put out, with accurate pricing on it, be sure to follow up with your clients. That's where most people don't. Most companies do not follow up. If you want to be a successful company, the estimate's the easiest thing you're going to do. Take the time to follow up on it. There's a lot of statistics on that where most people just send an estimate, not just in our industry, not just the green industry or the snow and ice management industry, but most of the time, it goes back to sales don't just happen concept. Just throwing that proposal out there and expecting a response may work, but most of the times it's probably not going to work. Just remember this, and I'm not going to go through a bunch of statistical numbers, but I want you to remember this, and I'd be happy to send it to you if you'd like to keep it, because I keep this hanging right behind my desk. I'm looking at it right now. That 80% of sales are made after the fifth contact. Keep that in mind. 80% of sales are made after the fifth contact with the client. But guess what? Only 10% of the salespeople call more than twice. So what does that tell you? That means 10% of the salespeople are making 80% of the sales. Those are the successful companies. People that not only present the proposal professionally with accurate numbers, but they follow up on it. And you say, okay, we're getting all this work, man, but employees are the problem. How do you retain key employees all year? It's simple. It really is. You train and educate. Say that again with me. Train and educate not just yourself, but your employees. The more they know, the more confidence they have in their jobs. Work that with me one more time. Why do you want to train and educate your employees? Some mindset says, well, why do I want to do that? They'll just go out on their own. That's all right. It's going to happen some, but a lot of times they'll come back. But if you train and educate your employees and they've got more confidence in their job, guess what they're able to do? They're able to talk more confidently with a customer when a customer approaches them with a question, and they don't look like a deer in the headlights and they don't feel stupid. And when they don't feel stupid, they take pride in what they're doing. And when they got pride in what they're doing, they're going to be more loyal. So that's one of the solutions to this employee problem that we hear people talk about all the time, is training and education. And when we diversify our services and we train and educate people in those other services, as your company grows, you don't need all full-time people, but you're going to need some. And even your seasonal help, you can train and educate them, because based on your market, we have a lot of seasonal guys that return each year. Don't make it harder than it's got to be. Just train and educate everybody so they represent your company better, number one. And number two, they've got more confidence in what they're doing. And maybe more confidence is more important than them representing your company well, because if the confidence is there, the representation's going to be there. And understand that service agreements are going to help. I know we've talked about the last couple of days. I'm not going to get into that, but most successful companies do utilize a service agreement because a successful company does understand the need for 12 months cash flow. That's the breakdown. You got your expenses that go on. So how do we control that cash flow? And that's by utilizing a service agreement. Are you utilizing a service agreement to help you with that 12-month cash flow? So what makes these successful companies better than you? That's the question of the day. What makes these successful companies better than you? And I can hear you saying it already. And you're exactly right in what you're saying. The answer to that is nothing You make the choice. You make the choice to have a professional image, be properly trained, use professional marketing and advertising, all the things that we've talked about this last hour. Being more diversified, right? Understanding your numbers and the more accurate pricing, retaining key employees. These are what make some companies successful. You don't have to be different. You just need to look and see what these successful companies are doing. And part of what they are doing is exactly what we've talked about this last hour. But they're not any better than you. They've just implemented different strategies to help their companies be more successful and more profitable. The exact same thing. It's your choice. If you had one chance, one opportunity, would you take it? It's all up to you.